What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Mining Pod. For today's show, we've got a timely episode with Matt Prusak, the CEO of American Bitcoin, following the news still hot off the press of Hut 8 establishing a partnership with Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and other investors for this new subsidiary, American Bitcoin. Now, for those who maybe didn't follow the news, Hut 8 is allocating virtually all of its self-mining assets to American Bitcoin in exchange for 80% stake in the company. It is now a subsidiary of Hut 8. So I asked Matt what exactly Hut 8 has to gain from this arrangement, what American Bitcoin's plans are for a potential public listing, and how the company will operate with Hut 8 and how they will share responsibilities, what this means for Hut 8's financial reporting, SG&A, and all that good stuff. Basically, what will this new structure look like? What does it mean for both companies as they forge their own path? Hope you enjoy this conversation. I thought it was pretty enlightening. One of the bigger news items to come out of recent weeks. So enjoy the show, y'all. Let us know what you think.
Hey, this is Will with Blockspace. Did you know that we're selling BitAxe Bitcoin miners now on miningpod.shop? If you're interested in having a BitAxe sit on your desk, or maybe you want to orange pill a friend or a family member, go to miningpod.shop to get industry-leading pricing on BitAxe units. If you want to buy them for your company, maybe as a holiday party gift or something else, feel free to reach out to us at hello@blockspace.media to order custom bulk amount for a discount. Again, that's miningpod.shop to order a BitAxe today.
All right, Matt Prusak, congratulations on the new CEO role and welcome to the Mining Pod, man.
Thank you, Colin. It's great to be here and great to be ready to tell you about our new adventure ahead.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time. I know it's been a busy week, a flurry of activity, I assume, on your side. So to set the stage for everyone, what led to this partnership with Eric Trump and Donald Trump and the establishment of American Bitcoin? What set the wheels in motion for this?
Yeah, it's a great way to dive right in. I think it was a natural convergence. You have Hut 8, which is industrial scale expertise. And then you have two gentlemen with the shared vision for American leadership in Bitcoin mining with a storied history and advocacy for crypto. And so if you think about that combination, it was pretty powerful. So a while back, strategic discussions began between Hut 8 leadership and Eric and Don Jr., their American data centers team, recognizing the synergy that we'd have between what Hut 8 provides on the infrastructure side and then this vision that we all share for a large-scale U.S.-focused miner. Right. So if you think about that combination, it's quite potent. You have a team that's very, very adept at the build-outs, about harnessing sort of the American energy dynamism to build something fantastic. And then you have two incredible spokesmen and sort of strategic visionaries on the crypto side who are willing to engage with us to really drive value for the company.
Yeah, and I think the American Data Center Inc. part of this is important to highlight because that was the company that rebranded into American Bitcoin, right? And it was founded by the Trumps and other investors as a data center development company. Do I have that correctly?
Sure. So I would view it, I'll dive in a bit more to the structure and what the deal structure looks like, right? So this is a structure that empowers ABTC to immediately start with scale. So the way that this was designed was this was a consolidation via asset acquisition to get into the accounting. What that means is that the Hut 8 team was providing some of the initial mining opportunity or mining firepower, you might say, the hash rate. And then the American Data Center team has their own robust pipeline vision and capital markets expertise. And they've collectively come together into this venture, right? So it's not a spin out. It's something more of like a carve out. And from a financial perspective, you'd call it a consolidation via asset acquisition.
Yeah, that leads into my next question. Well, so Hut 8 is reallocating almost all of its self-mining capacity to American Bitcoin, and they are getting 80% stake in the company. And some of the comments I've seen initially on this is, why would Hut 8 take what it used to own 100% of for an 80% stake in another company? So what does Hut 8 have to gain from this partnership?
Sure. Honestly, I think it's a win-win and it provides clarity to both sides, right? So on the Hut 8 side, you've got a focused mining vehicle now being created. Hut 8 has this material stake, deep alignment in the success of this vision, and also gets to continue to build out its infrastructure prowess across energy as a whole. So on one side now, you've got the ABTC brand, solely focused on hash rate, solely focused on stacking sats, things that are core competencies of the Hut 8 crew, but now reconfigured in a new way, which also allows the Hut 8 side to really focus on their superpowers, infrastructure development, speed to market, execution across a wide swath of technologies, high performance computing and AI as well.
Yeah, so that's one way to look at this in terms of it allows Hut 8 to re-channel its focuses on managed services, infrastructure providing. They're becoming really a power infrastructure company. And it seems to me like there will be more opportunity maybe for them to explore AI and HPC with this as well. Is that one of the ways to contextualize it? Because we've seen Bitcoin miners increasingly lean into these business lines.
Yeah, I think that that's a fair characterization. I think the way you might want to think about it is Hut 8 has, again, a wide array of opportunities to harness energy for shareholder value. American Bitcoin is going to be the chief way that they do so as it comes to crypto and Bitcoin mining specifically. I wouldn't necessarily say it frees up time, as we are a core focus again, and we will be developing with them as their sister company. But it does provide, sort of a strategic focus and pretty strong deal rationale for why this made sense.
So going back to the previous question before that one about what the Trumps bring to the table and the benefit here for Hut 8, there's an argument to be made for the American data center company, right? Now, American Bitcoin, about there is development expertise, there is construction expertise, which obviously Trump made his fortune on. It's kind of what founded, the family or enriched the family coffers, so to speak. There's another side of this that I wanted to ask you about in regards to financial benefits here. Are there pools of capital that Hut 8 and American Bitcoin can tap now that they have a partnership with a Trump family member? Does that open up maybe lower cost of capital, increased chances for fundraising? How do y'all view that part of the partnership?
Taking a step back, I think people like to back winners, right? And so as you think about ABTC and what we bring to the table, that's an exciting story. That brings together a partnership with the Trump brothers and what they bring, as well as the Hut 8 side. And that combination is so dynamic that, it gets people excited. And as you could have seen, frankly, from our press in the past few days, people love the story and they love the potential. And I know that they're going to love the results as well. So as we think more broadly about pools of capital and fundraising and building our business, I think it's really going to be focused, a way for us to focus laser-like on growth and tap into pools of capital, that want to be part of the story.
Going into that part about the growth, right? Kind of pulling that thread out a little bit. Right now, the mining operations are in existing Hut 8 facilities. This is turnkey, I would assume. I know there's some hash rate that will come online either from on orders or stuff that's been set aside for development. There's 10 exahashes as a part of this deal. Will American Bitcoin build new centers for the hash rate expansion that y'all are targeting? How are y'all going to approach growth?
So I think first off, performance is paramount, right? And growth and performance go hand in hand. So as I think about our opportunities, and I think even tying back to your fundraising, it's all about accelerating that growth. Hut 8 has an enormous pipeline, something Asher has alluded to on the Hut 8 team. We're talking gigawatts on gigawatts of energy that is available. That for us is incredibly attractive, right? Whether it's through greenfield, brownfield, retrofits, finding the optimal locations for these American Bitcoin machines is fantastic, right? And so we believe that we're going to get prime locations that are tailored towards efficient mining. And if you want to speak specifically to Hut around their pipeline strategy, I think they would welcome that. And we are very much excited to benefit from their expertise.
On that note, with what Hut 8 has in the pipeline, one of the more interesting deals that came out of last year was the U3 S21 EXPH deal that Hut 8 did with Bitmain, where they were going to outfit, I believe it was maybe the Vega data center, I could be wrong about that, with this new direct-to-chip liquid-cooled server rack form factor miner from Bitmain. And they have an option to purchase up to 15 exahashes of this. Is that in the play potentially for American Bitcoin's expansion? It seems like kind of an obvious kind of low-hanging fruit for y'all to pluck.
It is, we've got opportunities to grow in a variety of ways. Those machines have really been an exciting opportunity for Hut 8 and for the ABTC team as well. Again, as I said before, performance is paramount. So we evaluate all manufacturers, Bitmain, MicroBT, other emerging players, US-based ones as well, some you're familiar with. Our decisions are really going to be made on a few factors: efficiency, cost, reliability, and delivery timelines. So as we evaluate opportunities like the Bitmain one that you've described, we're really looking for ways to maximize our stack and maximize our hash rate. And being on the cutting edge is certainly helpful when it comes to that.
With regards to the 50 exahash target that American Bitcoin has, I believe that was mentioned in some of the PR. That's fully self-mined hash rate. That doesn't include managed services on Hut 8 side or anything like that.
100%. So that is American Bitcoin hash rate, and will be proudly under our banner.
I know that you are limited in what you can say for forward guidance, but what is a realistic timeline for that? If you can give any at all.
Sure. I have to be very thoughtful as you described, but we've got a clear phased roadmap to get from 10 exahash to 25 to 50. In the near term, I think it's going to be that initial execution on the 10 to 25 range. But if you look at Hut 8's track record to date in building, we do in months where we've historically done in months what others do in years. So when it comes time, we can really accelerate into growing, frankly, with our Hut 8 partners as the builders.
So Hut 8 also has a pretty big portfolio of power plants that it has acquired recently. I'm curious if there are any plans or anything you can discuss with maybe outfitting those with ASIC miners, retrofitting them, trying to tap into those assets, because I feel like that is, to me, it seems like there are probably obviously a lot of operational considerations for that may make it more difficult or more easy, but that seems like a clear path for growth if it makes sense.
I think that's where I would really zoom in on. It's what you said, if it makes sense. And that's where I think we're really going to benefit from the Hut 8 partnership. They've shown the ability to secure and develop the most advantageous sites in North America. They've got deep energy market expertise. I think having some power plants in the back pocket certainly doesn't hurt. And as we evaluate places to place all these machines and start growing our hash rate, all options are on the table.
In the competitive world of Bitcoin mining, one name stands out: CleanSpark, America's Bitcoin miner. At CleanSpark, efficiency isn't just a goal, it's our standard. Our sophisticated facilities are built and led by expert teams who care about Bitcoin and the communities we work in. Scale, we've mastered it. Our large-scale operations have set us apart in the industry as examples of community-oriented building. Our track record speaks for itself. We navigate the complexities of the new economy with precision and with skill, continuously achieving operational milestones. Curious about how we do it? We invite you to discover the story behind CleanSpark's success at cleanspark.com.
All right, so company's American Bitcoin. The Trump family has obviously made a huge brand of itself of trying to make America great again. Will that factor into anything that American Bitcoin does on the operations side, or as it relates to maybe CapEx spend? This comes to mind with a lot of the American manufacturers for ASIC miners. I'm wondering if that will play in y'all's strategy for how you approach ASIC procurement with regards to opting for maybe Auradine or Block in the future versus Bitmain or MicroBT.
Sure. So we maintain an America First ethos right throughout the company. You can obviously tell from our partners and our co-founder, Eric Trump, that America First is a priority for us. The way this will be expressed is going to be so dependent upon the market, right? So as we look at energy sources, first and foremost, there's tons of abundant electrons here in the United States. And again, through our partnerships with Hut 8, there's a lot of opportunity on that front. Likewise, on the chips, we bring to the table a pretty deep bench when it comes to research and development and appraising the value of various machines. And so we're going to look for the opportunities that will allow us to stack the most amount of sats here in the United States. Now, again, machines made worldwide. It's a global market. Bitcoin is globally competitive, but we think that the American First ethos is something that's going to carry throughout, whether it's in our evaluation of chip providers, our evaluation of energy sources. But most importantly, we're trying to get as much hash rate through our country and through an American workforce as possible.
So focusing on operations or moving to a different part of operations, I believe the press release mentioned that Hut 8 would be managing almost the full mining stack for American Bitcoin in terms of helping with procurement, helping with finance, HR, and things like that. Just curious as to how responsibilities are divided here. What will Hut 8 focus on and what will American Bitcoin focus on as y'all scale this business?
Sure. So I will speak first to the American Bitcoin side. We're focused on hash rate and we're focused on Bitcoin reserve, right? So what we endeavor to build is the best pure play company when it comes to maximizing hash rate and network security by doing so, and maximizing the amount of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It's a very clear mandate. It's a very exciting mandate to do that in such an express and clear fashion. And that, frankly, by partnering with Hut 8, it frees up the mind space to do so. So Hut 8's focus is building, right? They are steel in the ground, energy trading, all of the things that go around building a best-in-class infrastructure play. They're the chief partner for that. What we bring to the table, though, is our very clear mandate, which is stacking sats, getting Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and having the hash power to do so.
So zooming in on that Bitcoin strategy as well, HUD 8 will retain its Bitcoin HODL, right? And American Bitcoin will establish its own, correct?
That is correct. We will establish our own stack.
So in terms of your treasury strategy, what does that look like? How will American Bitcoin get this off the ground? What kind of financial tooling will it use in order to make sure that it can retain as much Bitcoin as possible? And a follow-up to that, are there any considerations for maybe issuing things like convertible notes when and if American Bitcoin goes public, which we'll touch on next?
Sure. So why don't we talk a bit about notes and things like that? There's a lot of financial structures out there, some of which may be applicable to what we do. Right now, though, the focus is going to be putting hash rate online the old-fashioned way. We're not going to get into the high finance approach at this time. But again, I think that when it comes to the treasury strategy, so getting to your core question here, amassing Bitcoin is something that we've already started. So we day one, well, every day is day one for us, but day one has already begun. We're already hashing. And so our hope is to continue to grow that HODL position. And the fastest and most prudent way to grow HODL as a miner is to have very streamlined costs. And so that's why for us, I have a very militant focus on ensuring that we have best in class expense tracking, things like that, low cost of energy, because that's how you win in this business, right? And the best way to get a large treasury as a miner is to mine efficiently. And so, yes, there's a lot of other interesting ways to increase yield and ways to grow the treasury. And again, we're going to do what we think's best in order to improve that treasury size. But as a miner, first and foremost, we're looking for ways to grow that balance sheet efficiently.
Yeah. And so the way to do it right now, obviously, to your point, is just actually make sure that you can have enough left over after paying your costs to keep some of that Bitcoin on the balance sheet, because a lot of the financial vehicles that would be available to y'all that we've seen other miners use, like at the market offerings, right, convertible notes, things like that, those won't necessarily be open to American Bitcoin unless it goes public. So, and that's been a stated goal. So what's the playbook for that? What would that also look like once American Bitcoin goes public as it relates to HUD 8, as two sister companies would be on public markets if this materializes?
I think that's an excellent question. So the vision is bold, right? Which is to be the biggest and best Bitcoin company in the world, right? And the way to get there is obviously starting private and then listing and giving folks the exposure they want to that mission. And right now, if you look at what the opportunity is at stake for us, you have the opportunity to build a miner that is expressly from day one focused on hash rate and stacking sats, without any of the distractions that other folks have to do with integration and things like that. This is an asset light way to do so. Again, the way for us to start is we're in the private markets. We're a private company. We have ambitions to grow and to scale and to get folks involved with our story. But for now, we're private. But ultimately, providing folks with that level of exposure is a really unique opportunity. And we're going to move towards that as fast as possible.
Providing people the exposure as a private Bitcoin miner, you mean, is a unique opportunity?
As a public, I think as a private company, we are, and the cool thing is we're going to prove this out operationally, right? So this isn't hype. You can see as we grow and we develop, we're going to be providing you and the community with a lot of updates as to our progress so far, because I think metrics and things speak for themselves, and we're really going to deliver those results. But ultimately, when we were approaching the concept of a public listing, it's going to be about what do the wider community, what do they look for in a miner? What do they look for in a Bitcoin company that is Bitcoin to the core? And is that a story that excites them? And so for us, as you may have heard, when we were on our spaces launching with Eric and Don, we were talking about the real opportunity here to be a category leader, right? And to be a category leader that knows expressly that what people care about is securing the network and hash rate and having as large a HODL as possible, right? And doing that HODL in an efficient way that shows that we're real operators.
So I know that y'all are currently in talks for fundraising right now. At least I think I saw that with some of the PR material that was released upon the launch day. What are some of those conversations looking like? Kind of going back to that original question as well. Is this an different type of investor profile that y'all are seeing now that you are kind of entering a realm where the American Bitcoin has access to investors that are interested in the Trump brand, et cetera? So kind of a two-part question. What are those fundraising talks looking like right now? And how do they differ, if at all, from some of the talks that other miners might have as they're looking for private raising rounds?
Sure. I think, again, it goes back to our story, which is incredibly exciting. When we were going out to the market, privately, we're building the premier American-owned institutional-grade Bitcoin miner. So we're aspiring to have the scale of a public company, but right now we have the strategic flexibility of a private one. So if you think about what that offer is, we're backed by one of North America's top energy and infrastructure players, which is Hut 8, and with a team from the American data center side, which really has an ethos around digital sound money, real assets, and energy arbitrage. All of this bundled into one investment is incredibly exciting for folks, and is a story that people really want to be a part of. You're seeing in the industry, as you said, like, what does the industry look like wide? Bitcoin mining is consolidating. You're seeing energy, capital, and scale are really the key factors that are coming together to determine who the long-term winners are going to be. You're going to need to have best-in-class economics, which we do and we will. And more importantly, you're also seeing institutional flows. ETFs were approved. We have a Bitcoin president. This is truly the age of crypto in the United States, and building a marquee American miner, there's no better time to do so. And so as we look out at different pools of capital, I think the American narrative is incredibly strong, and it's something we're so excited about. Obviously, we wear the flag on our sleeve. We've got the crypto narrative as well, the power that Bitcoin brings as effectively this digital store of value. I mean, if you think about gold's on a run recently. Gold is trading at a $21 trillion valuation. Total asset value. Bitcoin, I think, as an aggregate, is around 1.7 trillion right now. It's like a 12x multiple, right? And the world's really waking up to that opportunity and what that could be. And as soon as people continue to wake up to this, the question is, well, where is it going to be from, and who's going to control that future? And so ABTC offers folks the chance to really make that here in America.
I want to put a pin on some of the things that you just said with regards to kind of being like the golden age of Bitcoin and crypto in America, right? I mean, it's been a complete sea change, obviously, over the last year with the election of President Trump and a turnover in some of these agencies and also in Congress to more favorable regulators and politicians. But we'll close on that. I want to focus on a few other things with regards to the financials and operational side of American Bitcoin and Hut 8's relationship. How will American Bitcoin's own financials be reflected in Hut 8's? So that's another question people had with regards to maybe the strategic benefit of this, that it allows Hut 8 the ability to maybe report on financials in a way that is more advantageous. How will that be reflected on Hut 8's own financials when they file?
Sure. So the way I would really shorten it is to say that the financials are going to be accounted for as consolidation via asset acquisition. So this is going to reflect the Hut 8 contribution and controlling interest that we have on day one. And then our focus is building value within that structure, right? So it really, as you're trying to think about where things go, when you consolidate it, there's all kinds of complexities that come to the current model. If you see folks that are doing hosting and things like that, there's quite a few moving parts. So with this way, you're going to see a much more streamlined thing. So for now, it's consolidated. You're going to see ABTC's mining impact reflected in Hut 8's top line. Our path towards a listing and our own financial standing, basically, will really benefit all the stakeholders. And we have to be very thoughtful for the time as to how we disclose some of the relationships that we have with Hut 8. But needless to say, this is a model that we find very efficient for growth.
Got it. And on the SG&A side, one of the things that the press release mentioned is that this will help lower Hut 8's SG&A. And you're going to have to square that for me, because it puzzles me in the sense that at one time, Hut 8 is saying that employees are being retained. Hut 8 will help America Bitcoin manage ops. They will provide things like HR services, etc. Also do some stuff on the operational side. And so their actual payroll is not decreasing from this that I can see. So how will this help lower Hut 8's SG&A, if you can speak to that?
Sure. So, I think this is where the disaggregation is going to be very, very important. I think starting with the ABTC side, which is what I can really speak to, you're talking about a team that is focused, asset light, minimal corporate overhead. You're avoiding a lot of these duplicative layers: legal, accounting, investor relations. Hut 8 is going to benefit from the strategic efficiency that you get from this sort of arrangement. And the performance for the time being will still be consolidated. I think the other factor too you need to consider is the way you can optimize shared services. So Hut 8 has services. So you can think of it almost from an ABTC perspective. We're standing on a platform that we and then other clients as well provides enormous scale to Hut 8, right? So that amount of SG&A is spread out across a broader base. And in the case of ABTC, we benefit from those economies of scale as a near and dear sibling company of Hut.
All right, a few closing thoughts that are a little more cerebral for yourself and our audience, or maybe philosophical. Obviously, like I said, huge shift in the appetite for Bitcoin and crypto now that we have more favorable politicians and leadership here in the US. But at the same time, you see a lot of Bitcoin mining companies kind of abandoning the Bitcoin mining business line and leaning into AI and HPC. Just a few off the top of my head. Crusoe sold all of its oil and gas Bitcoin mining assets to NYDIG recently. Bitfarms is starting to lean in. You have Core Scientific with CoreWeave, and Iron is pausing its hash rate expansion once it hits 52 exahashes in favor of AI and HPC. So I guess the question I would ask is, what does the changing landscape mean for a company like American Bitcoin? Is this bullish for American Bitcoin because it frees up a kind of investor capital and mind share for pure play miners? Or is it bearish in the sense that a lot of Bitcoin miners are leaning out of this business model at a time when, honestly, the regulatory environment has never been more favorable?
No, I think now is the best time. We're strong believers that ABTC and Bitcoin's long-term value, but you've got both the digital gold aspect as well as this critical financial infrastructure that we're building here in America. Other miners and other players in the industry may see things differently and choose to go in different directions. And frankly, that's not our ethos, right? I mean, we're America first and we're Bitcoin first. You're seeing tremendous leaps in efficiency, folks needing to perform at a sub 15 joules per terahash level, something that we're targeting ASAP. I think for us, you got to compete to win, and we're going to be one of the best positioned in the competition. The other thing I think is that you have to remember the American energy advantage. So the US has tremendous opportunities for low cost, large scale power. If you look worldwide, there's really no place that has this combination of stable markets, a pro crypto sentiment, and enormous energy infrastructure possibilities. So the fact that we could do this here and secure the network globally, I mean, it's a win for us, it's a win for the country, and it's a win for the industry.
All right, Matt. Really appreciate your comments and your responses here. Last question before you hop off of the horn. You've been involved in Bitcoin mining for a while. You were formerly the CEO of US Bitcoin prior to the merger with HUD 8. Given the new regulatory and political environment, what do you see as the biggest change over the past year or so? And what do you see as probably the biggest benefit of the current environment right now?
I think that's a nice question. So as the chief commercial officer at US Bitcoin, CEO at Ionic, and then now the CEO of American Bitcoin, it's been incredible to watch the excitement build. So I think there were always the folks that were early on crypto, were smart about Bitcoin, really saw the opportunity here. That story has hit the institutions in a big way, and we're excited to bring them something that is their caliber, right? You've got a tremendous evolution in this asset class. Crypto in its many forms is booming, but at the core remains Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin remains the kind of the bedrock upon which crypto is built, and Bitcoin miners are critical to that. And so as institutions are really warming up to crypto, as lawmakers, policymakers, regulators, et cetera, are also warming up, they're looking for best in class plays in the space, and that is what we're going to deliver.
Fantastic. Any final thoughts, Matt, on American Bitcoin, state of Bitcoin mining, anything that comes to mind?
I couldn't be more excited for what we're building at American Bitcoin, and now's the time to do so.
Fantastic, man. Hey, appreciate you hopping on. Thank you so much. Best of luck to y'all's venture, and I'm sure we'll be talking again sometime soon.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Colin.